I got some tea, and now it's time to give you the tea. Hey guys, it's Ariana. Welcome back to my channel. So for today's video, I can't speak. So for today's video, I thought I would do something a little bit different, something I've never done before. So I am going to be talking about all of the new releases that are coming out that I'm not interested in buying. This is an anti-haul, and I'm very curious to know how this video is going to do, if you guys are going to like these type of videos, or if you guys aren't interested in a more negative side of the beauty world. So there is a lot of releases out that are coming out or that have already come out that I want to talk about, the reasons why I'm not interested as a consumer to buy them. I'm not on anyone's PR list. These are all of my own personal opinions whenever I come on here. Whenever I am sent a product, I always disclose that I've sent something, and I don't ever give anyone my opinion swayed because they sent me the product. I'm always giving an honest review, and this is the time where nobody sent me anything, and I'm just going through trend moods, Instagram, and telling you guys all about the stuff that I'm not interested in buying. So let me pull up my list. So the very first thing on my list that I want to talk about is the ColourPop Midnight Masquerade collection. I am so tired of ColourPop releasing Disney collections. Every single collection that they've released so far that is Disney themed is so fucking boring. It is not interesting. I'm not interested in anything that has to do with Disney and makeup. Whenever I hear Disney and makeup, I think of really, really, really bad quality Hot Topic makeup. That's where my mind goes when I think of ColourPop and Disney making collabs together and creating Disney makeup. Like, I know that ColourPop has pretty decent quality makeup, and it's very inexpensive, and they are a pretty decent brand, but when it comes to a collab with Disney, a multi-billion, million, trillion, fulfillion dollar corporation that has their little fingers in absolutely everything, not really interested in purchasing it. And one of my fellow YouTubers that is on the platform that I actually follow, and I actually am subscribed to her Patreon and everything, is named Abby Williamson. She is one of the reasons that I'm doing this video right now. I always watch her anti-haul videos, and I absolutely love them, and this is just one of those times where I 100% agree with everything she said in her video in regards to the Disney collection. So if you haven't seen her video, or you have no idea who she is, she's a really, really awesome YouTuber, and I absolutely love her video. So I'll link her channel in the little eye right there, so you guys can go to her recent anti-haul video. And she talked about the Disney ColourPop collection, and she went into a little bit more depth that I'm going to go into with it, about how it's just, we're not interested in Disney and makeup. I'm really not. So that is number one that I am not buying, not interested, not gonna buy it. I don't want anything to do with that collection or those collections or those collabs. I saw when it came out originally quite a few months ago, or last year, whenever it came out, the first one came out, I saw it and I was like, that is the most boring fucking shit ever. I'm not buying something just because it says Disney or it has princesses on it. No, it's not interesting to me. As a 25-year-old, as a 30-year-old lady, no. As a 25-year-old, not interested in it. So let's move on. So the next one that I'm not going to be purchasing, that is already passed, is the Jeffree Star mystery Halloween boxes. I didn't not buy it because I didn't want it. I really did want to get one of the mystery boxes, but I find that the one that I really wanted was like gonna be 260 Canadian, and I just can't afford that. It was the biggest mystery box. There is like 3 tiers that he released. There's the small one, the medium one, and the super large one, and the super large one is obviously the one that I wanted to get just because I want all the Jeffree Star makeup. I didn't purchase one, and I didn't get one, so I'm not going to be doing a Jeffree Star Halloween mystery unboxing box because I couldn't afford one this time around. I didn't want to get the smaller ones because I've gotten the smaller ones in the past, and I didn't really like a lot of the stuff that it came in. I got some really bizarre shades that I'm not going to be able to use. I mean, like, look at my makeup right now. I like bizarre shades, but I got like a bright gold highlight, and I got some lip enamels that I don't really like the colors in, and it's just like, that's the point of mystery boxes, is you don't know what you're gonna get. And I just didn't, I wasn't really impressed with the smaller boxes, so I didn't want to get a smaller box and be disappointed again, and then the bigger box I just couldn't afford. So that's why I didn't purchase one of them this time around. Also, his new mirrors that he's releasing, I don't know if I'm actually going to be purchasing one. I don't have any Jeffree Star mirrors, and I always look at them online, and they're always really cute, and I'm always gravitating towards them, and then he released these freaking Halloween ones that are just so fucking amazing, and I don't think I'm gonna buy one because when I do my makeup, I don't hold something. I don't hold a mirror up. I always have a mirror like stationed in front of me, and I like to be able to use my hands and play with my face and stuff. So I don't really need a mirror that's in my hand when I have to use this other hand. I use both my hands when I'm doing my makeup. So for me, mirrors and makeup, I don't need one that I have to hold. So that is probably why I'm going to pass on the Halloween mirrors, even though they are super cute. The next one that I am not buying, fucking hilarious. I think the fact that James Charles released a mini version of his palette is hilarious. I understand him coming online and saying, okay, well, everybody's been talking about this. Everybody wants smaller version. My palette's too large, doesn't have a mirror in it, yada, yada, yada. We get it. But the fact that you guys you said in your video that you guys have been in the works on this project for a year or 9 months or whatever. It took you guys a year to take the exact same palette, the exact same formula, and put it in smaller packaging? Why did that take a year? Why didn't that take 30 seconds of planning of, yeah, we're just gonna make it smaller and then release it? Why did this have to be some built up thing to just be like, hey, we're gonna give you guys the same palette but mini? That is very underwhelming. I don't know what the heck they were thinking, but I'm not interested in buying it. I already have the big one, so why would I need to buy a mini version of it? I don't need it. That's so underwhelming, and so many people online have been agreeing that that is silly. It was not needed. Like, no. You guys should have just released the mini palette in the beginning, the very first time when you guys released the giant palette. Why didn't you guys release the mini one with it for a cheaper price? Is it because there is dupes on the marketplace for cheaper now that you guys think that you should make your guys' palette smaller and have a better price tag? I'm already okay with the price tag of the big one. I don't know. I think this was unnecessary. So, don't need it, not gonna buy it. Next one. The Huda Obsessions Nude Palette. I don't like nude palettes, so it may be just kind of picking on Nuda. It may just be picking on Huda here, but I don't need a nude version of her palettes. The only palette that I have so far is her Orange Obsession one, and I wasn't even that impressed with it, so I'm not going to be purchasing a palette that is full of nudes. I don't see the point. It's very unwearable to me. To everybody else, they're like, oh, I need a palette that is very wearable. Nudes aren't wearable to me. That's just not something that I'm interested in doing. I have a couple looks on my channel where I have gone more of nude side, and even them, they're kind of smoky eyes. I don't like nudes. If I want to look like I'm not wearing makeup, I just won't wear makeup. I don't know. I don't understand the hype and the love behind nudes and all of that. I just don't get it. I like nude lipstick, but I only need one in my collection, and there we go, I'm done. I don't need 17,000 of them. And every single release that has been coming up to us in the last couple years has just been like nudes and then a splash of color, or a splash of color and then like a couple nudes in it. That's perfectly fine. We need transition colors, but when it's a full nude palette, I'm not interested in buying it. I will never purchase a full nude palette. That is pointless to me. So the next one that I'm not interested in is the Parley Bible ABH palette. I actually have to look this one up. I don't remember what it looks like. Ah, yes. Okay, so this palette. So I'm not gravitating to the colors in this palette. I don't think any of this is really wow factor to me. I don't have any ABH eyeshadows, and this definitely isn't going to be my first purchase. I think this palette is extremely boring, and this is already a palette that I have all of these shades in, like the other 10 million palettes that I have sitting in my makeup drawer. This just is very boring, it's very basic, and I'm just not interested in purchasing it. I think the packaging is really cute, but other than that, I really don't think it's interesting. It's not wowing me. I'm not excited by it, and the color story is just so boring. The shimmers are probably really pretty, but again, I don't need it, so I'm not gonna buy it. Also, the price point on ABH shadows is a little bit higher because it is a higher quality makeup or higher quality tier. Like, I would say that there's ColourPop, then there's like ColourPop and BH, and all of the lower tier ones are those really, really great makeup, but it's more on the affordable, whereas ABH is more of like very, very bougie kind of getting up there into like the Marc Jacobs, which is like way up here. I would say that it's a higher quality makeup company. It's not necessarily better, but it's definitely more expensive, and I don't think I will be purchasing anything anytime soon, as I think it's just a little bit out of my price range. So don't need it, not gonna buy it. Next thing is the Norvina collection. So all of those really colorful palettes, those are beautiful. They're really, really pretty. There's been a lot of talk coming out about them, talking about why they released them all, 3 of them at once. Why didn't they just slowly release them instead of being like, hey, here's 3 different palettes you guys can purchase. I think Raw Beauty Christie also touched on this. A lot of makeup companies are releasing way too much at once, and it's overwhelming the customer base. We feel overwhelmed, and we don't necessarily want to continue to purchase all of these new releases. It seems like every single week there's a new release coming, so it's just too overwhelming, and to release 3 different eyeshadow palettes at once is a little bit too much, and I just don't think I'm going to be purchasing it. So the Norvina collection, I have them posted here for you guys so you guys can see, and they are just a little bit too much for me. I don't need 3 rainbow palettes at once released, and the fact that they are $60 each is very expensive. So if you wanted to buy all of them, you are going to be spending a pretty penny, and for something that is a rainbow, I don't know if it's really worth it. I mean, you can just buy the James Charles palette, the big one, not the mini one, and get a rainbow palette. You can buy rainbow palettes all over the marketplace, and you can find ones for very good quality that are a lot cheaper. I don't necessarily think I need 3 different rainbow-esque palettes. They all have different color stories in them and different themes, but it's just, at the end of the day, they're rainbow palettes, and I don't think I need to spend that much money on 3 different palettes. Plus, I don't know, I just kind of would rather have all of my rainbow shades in one palette than to have 3 different palettes and have to constantly have 3 palettes in front of me when I want to use one color from each one. I just don't think I need it, so I'm not going to buy it. The next thing that I want to talk about, something that I think is hilarious. So I have been teetering on the idea of whether or not I wanted to purchase this item to compare it to a different item, and I think you guys know what I'm going to be talking about. The Wet n Wild new rainbow palette. The one that is a freaking rip-off of the James Charles palette. When I originally saw that, I laughed so hard. I was like, holy shit, they took his exact palette and made a dupe, so it's their version. They didn't even move any of the colors around. It's obviously a different formula, so it's not the exact same palette, but it's Wet n Wild's version of his palette for cheaper, and which makes me believe, like, makes my train of thought go towards, did James Charles and Morphe decide, oh shit, there's a dupe coming up for Wet n Wild that's cheaper, so let's make a mini collection and make it so that our palette is more affordable so people don't buy Wet n Wild's version. I don't know, I think it's just really funny that Wet n Wild completely took his palette and ripped it right off and didn't even move any of the colors around. I thought that was so funny. That is hilarious. So I thought about buying it and comparing it to the James Charles palette, seeing like, here's the dupe, here's the original James Charles palette, and seeing what the difference are, but I don't think I'm gonna waste my money. I think that the fact that they didn't even attempt to move colors around is hilarious. So a lot of people say, okay, well, James Charles doesn't own a rainbow palette. He doesn't own that scheme of things. He doesn't own that exact order of things. And you know what, you're right, he doesn't, but I mean, come on, try to be a little bit original. That's just really funny. So the next one that I want to talk about is the Morphe 3503 palette, which is the most bizarre palette ever. It is all oranges and reds, and then all of a sudden there's 2 lime greens in it. That doesn't go with the color story at all. We don't need 2 lime green shades in a completely orange and red palette. It just does not make sense, and it was so funny when this was, when the release launch, whatever, for this palette came out, everybody online was talking about it. They were like, what the fuck? Why is there 2 random colors in here that don't belong? And I just thought it was the funniest thing. I teetered on the idea of buying it just because I love green eyeshadow, but I wouldn't even use more than half of that palette because they're all reds. They all look the same. I don't need that many of oranges and reds. I really don't. And then the 2 greens is just funny. Like, I don't know what they were thinking, but that palette doesn't make sense, and those greens are really weird. I agree with, again, with what Raw Beauty Christy said. She said if they had made half the palette the reds and the oranges, and then another half of the palette like mossy greens, forest greens, olive greens, it would have made more sense to have it that way, not just an entire palette that's all red and orange and then 2 random greens that are like, again, Raw Beauty said they're not really wearable greens, they're like lime greens. I mean, I would probably make it work, but I mean, do you always want to walk around looking like you're Christmas? Because if you're mixing red and orange and green together, you're probably gonna look kind of Christmassy. So, I mean, just saying. So, don't need it, not gonna buy it. The next thing that I want to talk about is the Natasha Denona Metropolis, I can't speak. Natasha Denona Metropolises. So this palette, well, first of all, I'm not purchasing this palette because I can't afford it. I cannot afford to spend 170 USD. I live in Canada, so 170 USD on something that I am going to put on, wear for 6 hours, and then wipe off. That is overpriced, very expensive, and I cannot afford it. So a lot of people say that Natasha Denona's eyeshadows are amazing formula and they're really great, but I mean, there's tons of brands that have amazing formulas and work well and blend well and are extremely pigmented for $30. Why does this palette retail for 170 USD? I am never, ever, ever going to be able to afford that. I mean, I don't know anybody that is gonna be able to afford to buy all of their palettes. Like, if somebody was a completionist and they wanted all the Natasha Denona palettes they ever made, how the heck do you afford that? Because, like, I cannot. $170 is insane. Now, the color story, again, this isn't really something that wows me. I really like the army green, the olive green color that's in there, and I really liked the blue shimmers in there, but everything else is really neutral and just kind of boring to me, so I don't really see why this is worth $170. So, with that being said, don't need it, not gonna buy it. Next thing that I want to talk about is the Too Faced Gingerbread Extra Spicy. So I believe this is going to be part of their Christmas collection that they're releasing, and I just don't need it. The only item I actually own by Urban Decay is the All Nighter Setting Spray, and I find, oh sorry, this isn't even Urban Decay. Excuse me. So the Too Faced Gingerbread Extra Spicy. I'm mixing this one up with all of the other Urban Decay palettes. Let me pull it up. Too Faced Gingerbread Extra Spicy. So this one, I'm not going to be buying this palette because it is a nude palette with a splash of blue. So like everything else that has been released in the last couple of years, nude with a splash of color. Boring. This is so fucking boring. I don't need it. It looks boring. Who needs this many nude shades in one palette? Really? I don't get you guys. You guys that love nudes, I mean, live your own life, but that's fucking boring. $65, really? You guys are gonna spend 65 USD on boring nude shades where it's barely gonna look like you're even wearing makeup? Don't need it, not gonna buy it. Next thing, so this is the last one that I want to talk about that has been coming out in the last couple of months, and this is the Naked Honey. So the Urban Decay, this was the Urban Decay one that I was originally talking about last time. I got ahead of myself. So this is the Urban Decay Naked Honey. Urban Decay needs to stop with these naked palettes. Seriously, I don't own a single one because I don't need a single one. They were really, really amazing OG like 10 years ago. It's 2019, stop with the naked palettes. Really, you guys, please don't come for me in the comments about this, but I mean, like, seriously, how many naked palettes do we actually need? They got rid of the original naked one, which had people freaking tearing up over, and instead of taking that one off the shelf that people absolutely loved, why do you guys keep making all of these other ones? And this naked one is just, this Naked Honey one is just not needed. Like, ColourPop just released a honey collection as well, and they're pretty, they look cool, I love golds and stuff, but I don't know, I just don't get inspired by it, I don't gravitate to it, I just think it's kind of fucking boring. all of these things that I've been talking about in this video have just been my personal opinions, so don't think that I'm saying that you guys shouldn't go out and buy it, or that you guys shouldn't like nude palettes, or that you guys shouldn't like any of the things that I don't like. This is just my opinion. I just don't particularly like palettes that aren't super colorful, so I'm all into color. I love vibrant colors, and which is why I was kind of surprised that I wasn't really that excited about the Norvina palettes, the rainbow palettes. I just thought that them releasing them all at once, 3 palettes in your face, is just too overwhelming, and the price tag is just a little bit too much. I'm not gonna spend $60 on an eyeshadow palette unless it's Jeffree Star. Then I can't control myself. But these are just my opinions, these are just my thoughts. This was my first anti-haul ever, so I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope you guys do like this kind of style of videos, because I do want to continue to make them and talk about why I am not going to be purchasing some of the things that you guys are expecting me to review on this channel. So if you guys did enjoy this video, please make sure to give it a big thumbs up. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button down below for more content like this. I hope you guys do enjoy my random style videos, my random rants, my random whatever, and I hope you guys stick around. So please hit the subscribe button, and I will see you guys at the next video. Bye!